Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. And one thing I love about high-level Mechabellum is that high-level players are just so creative when it comes to putting together new strategies. And this is one of those games. All right, let's go. At the bottom here, we have Illuminati playing as a Sabertooth specialist, and he's up against Cast playing as a Giant specialist. I think Illuminati is around 2200 MMR. Cast is fluctuating between 2200 and 2000 because he's been cooking really hard in the last week. All right, we started off with sledgehammers, arc lights, and fans into steel balls crawlers. Now, whenever you see steel ball crawlers, you expect them to go aggro, but in this case, it's actually going to be standard steel balls. Balls all the way in the back with the crawlers. All right, a single arc light. Now, which side are you going to go? And this is a tough decision. All right, it is going to be on the left side for Cast, which means the right-hand side is going to have no chaff clear. Alright, a pretty good move here, despite the fact that he completely lost the right-hand side, but these balls were able to swing around and getting a lot of value, actually. Round 2, we got our first unit drop. Fire Badger ball is definitely a thin, but I feel like right now with everything all the way in the back, the tempo may not be in the ball player's favor. So I think for Cass, he might be better off going on. Maybe Phoenix might be pretty good for Cass as well. All right, he did eventually choose the Fire Badgers, but the Fire Badger is going to go all the way in the end here. A big target for these level 2 Phoenixes. At the front, I think he's going to need to fix this hole here with the chapter. But instead, is just pushing all the way onto the one side. It's a very unorthodox way of playing, right? Usually when you're playing standard, you just want to make sure that both sides are covered evenly because you usually don't have the distance to rush for tower. And what that means is that if you lose the other side and your strong side is still engaged in battle, there's a good chance that your opponent's going to rush for tower. Now, in this case, Cast understands the speed of units. He thinks that, yeah, you know what? I may have a chance because I have the faster army with the steel balls. But unfortunately, the crawlers did get a head start onto those towers, and it was able to capture that. Subsidized steel ball is offered. I don't know if Cass is going to take that. He already has 2 sets of steel balls, but it does make sense for Illuminati. Orbital and Underground are also in place here. I think Underground for Cass might be a little bit weak because there's already several arc lights along the tower. For Illuminati, however, that would be a great card. If anything, it's going to stop a lot of the units right there in the middle. For Cass here, he could choose to skip, or I think Bombard might be interesting. Just kind of get through that one side, but you're definitely not going to get the full value of Bombard, at least not for this turn. So I think skip might be a good option here for Cast. All right, now we have this Congo line of fans here. This is a classic formation into steel balls because the steel balls and even the arc lights just take forever to get through these 2 vertical columns of fans. So very good option here. We have another squad of Fire Badger all the way in that corner, trying to just distract as much of the chaff as they possibly can. The Underground is almost completely ignored, but I feel like with the steel balls, they should be able to do okay. We have a few crawlers slipping through. Now at the front though, we have the Sandworm. Sandworm is an unexpected move here at turn 3. Cass is a Giant specialist, which means he can use and abuse that free unlock to bring a Giant as long as they have enough supplies. For Illuminati here, you'll need to come up with a way to deal with the Sandworm in the future. For now, these level 2 Phoenixes are holding down the fort. And the Phoenixes are good both against the Sandworms as well as against the Phantom Rays. So far, a fantastic game for Illuminati. Steel ball production. That could be very interesting on a Sandworm. It just creates so much chaff, right? So even later on, when you're putting down a melting point, or just even more Phoenixes, if you want to just power down the Sandworm, having that steel ball production is fantastic distraction. Smoke bomb is really not that useful for both players. I think for Illuminati, Cass is just moving too fast for smoke bomb to make any sense. For Cass, I think the units are just too far apart. I mean, you can do one side, but that's really it. Alright, so it's going to be steel ball production and a fortress. For Cass here, he continues to add on Sandworms. Sandworm required chaff clear unless he starts to take strike and also replicate, which then can help with the chaff clear on his own. But for now, without those technologies, things aren't looking too good here for our red player. The fort is a very sensible decision. The forts can take on a Sandworm 1v1, especially if the Sandworm does not take any additional technologies. Alright. These two flanks are being answered. However, the flank on the left here may have a chance to break through because of the level 1 Rhino. There is a sort of a breakpoint here with the level 2 Fire Badger and level 1 Rhino here on the line on the flank. Is that if you take Scorch, you can actually DPS down this Rhino before he gets too close. Okay, on the other side, the Fire Badger continues to be annoying, and this time with additional crawler support, which means these fans are just going to continue to run towards it. Fire Badgers are extremely tanky, and they can take care of the Arclight as well. Alright, turning our attention to the front here. Oh, by the way, I mean, here's what happens with that Rhino, right? So, with just a little bit of HP, so imagine if the level 2 Fire Badger took Scorch, and that would have been a dead Rhino, and that will force Illuminati to put even more units to defend on that side. Alright, at the front, the Sandworm, with the combination of Phantom Ray, was actually able to bring down this big fort. But now that the fort is done, ooh, the Sandworm continues to be distracting here. And it's going to be around for cast. Now there is a combo between the Sandworm and the Phantom Ray that makes it very difficult into the Illuminati's board to deal with. Is you take Cloak and then you take Strike. Strike allows the Sandworm to chaff clear a little bit better, especially into columns of fans. Actually, I think it kills enough fans for the Sandworms to pop back in. And then Cloak essentially protects the Phantom Rays when the Sandworms are on the ground, avoiding the shot from the Phoenixes, so that when they do engage, the Phantom Rays can essentially one-shot Phoenixes within firing range. So it's going to be a skip for Illuminati. I think Super Heavy Armor is such a OP card on a Sandworm. And especially now one of the Sandworms are already level 2. I think taking that card, I mean, yes, it's 200 plus the 50 that you give up by not skipping, but I think it's worth it on this huge Sandworm because it essentially forces your opponent to get melting point. Melting points can be good into both Sandworm and the Phantom Rays, but that requires the melting point to go multi-melter. Problem with multi-melter is that it doesn't have enough damage output. So later on, if you do have a super heavy armor on the Sandworm and you take multi-melter, you're probably not going to kill everything in time. Now, lucky for Illuminati, there's actually no, it was a skip from this card, so there's actually no item whatsoever. And instead, it's just going to be even more Sandworms. Oil gets put down. Oil is here to stop these crawlers from moving too far ahead. Last game, the crawlers were the real problems. It was stopping these Phoenixes from doing the work and shooting down the Sandworm. But for now, though, things are looking better for cast. I'm surprised he didn't decide to level up this Fire Badger, because this Rhino is going to get another level, and once you're at level 2, you can't even finish it, even with napalm. So then I think Cass would just have to make a decision whether to keep that Fire Badger there purely for the sake of pulling these units away. Now for now though, things are looking decent. We already have a tower, a ball on the tower, and the far right hand side with 3 sandworms is completely destroying whatever army is over there. So Illuminati is faced with a difficult decision of how to answer both heavy hitting sandworms and heavy hitting phantom rays at the same time. And remember, this is before either of these units actually have any technology. Actually, he took the technology on Sandworm for replicate, so this allows him to just take some additional pot shots from these phoenixes. All right, we got some good cards here. Vulcan would be fantastic for chaff clear. You can always go with Overlord. Overlord with launcher and range are both a great unit for Sandworm as well as for Phantom Rays. Hope Illuminati took the Wraith. I think he was just a little worried about the chaff clear. I don't think the Wraith would be the optimal decision, and indeed he did sell the Wraith, just being the single unit. That's not a giant, so you actually get more out of this Wraith. And it's just going to be a lot of force with fan production. I wouldn't be surprised in the next round he took portable shields, because with portable shield and fan production, it's going to hold up all these sandworms for a considerable amount of time. The strike will only strip Son of the Fan's shield, which means the next hit, which would not have the additional damage nor the additional splash of the strike, landing onto this fan. So that will considerably slow down these sandworms. Well, Cass here, he took the level 3 Wraith. It's a good choice. Wraith Worm is already a meta, but now adding the Phantom Ray into the mix here, it's definitely going to work even better. Illuminati took Ignite on the fans. Now you might wonder why teching the fans if they're all just chaff. Well, right now looking at the board, Cass has a lot of high HP units. Almost every single one of his carry units are high HP. We get the Worms, we've got the Phantom Rays, and we have the big Wraith, all of which are susceptible to Ignite. And it's not going to kill them outright, but with Ignite, it is going to help. Okay, Cass continues to keep that unit there all the way in the back here. I wonder if Illuminati would just want to spend that extra 100 to upgrade this Rhino, because it will help them clear out this chaff line a little bit faster. Right now, his army is a little disjointed on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, though, is an absolute slaughterfest with these sandworms, with the Wraith, and with the Phantom Ray, now with Cloak, and just powering down everything on that side. Okay. Both units are fairly equal in terms of HP, but right now I'm still favoring Illuminati because he simply has the better counter into what Cass has. Now, this is not to say that this will always be the best counter, because one of the reasons that Cass is winning this round so heavily is partly because of the big Wraith. There's no Phoenix here on this side, right? Which means all of the AA has to be done through those Ignite fans, and that will take quite a long time. Nano Repair Kit is going to go on a big Sandworm, I assume, and indeed, and is also going to go on a big fort. So this Sandworm is going to get the Nano Repair Kit, this fort is going to get a Nano Repair Kit. So they're going to be facing off in an epic giant versus giant duel. On the ground is off cooldown once again, and it's going to continue to be an issue unless Cass decides to answer it in any meaningful way, but he really doesn't need to. Right now, he just needs to have his army at the front. AA is picked up by Fortress. AA is usually not the greatest move into Phantom Rays because they're just so extremely tanky, but if Illuminati is continuing to put on more forts because of the fan production, I don't think it even matters, because sure, a single fort AA is not going to do much to a Phantom Ray, but you times that by 7, that's a considerable amount of damage. Right now, though, I think the real problem is just the Sandworms, and now with Mech Rage, and they're going to do a lot more damage. So I think it reduces attack interval by 0.8 seconds. This is actually greater than what you would normally seeing for things like sledgehammers. This is almost increasing the attack interval, or this is almost increasing the amount of damage output for these sandworms by 100%, right? So 8 seconds is almost half of 1.7 seconds here for the sandworm. So what that really means is that once the sandworm starts to engage with these fortresses, every sandworm is almost dealing 2 sandworms worth of damage with the mech rage. And the fortress, we do require them to get the AA out, so that is definitely going to be a little bit of a problem. The fans, though, they are doing so much work here, and it looks like Illuminati might just have it. Cast with only 996 HP here, and still we have 4 forts on the side, 5 if you count these ones, and then we got level 3 phoenixes. But then this big worm has nano, and it will just keep popping in and out and popping in and out, and nano is really helping him to negate the effect of ignite. I think without nano, Cass would most definitely lost this game, but with nano, he might be able to take down 1 more fort, maybe 2. Ooh, still got 2 sandworms. Okay. Took down 1 more fort. We still have a single sandworm, not able to take on a second fort, but that did save Cass from being out of this game. Bombard is being offered. I think this late into the game, Bombard might just work, but because Illuminati is building a lot of force, so it's an easy 1 button away just to have shields for everything. Bombard for Illuminati makes sense. There will be no shield for Cass, and there are a lot of air units, which means they're going to be suffering from this Bombard. Okay, so Bombard did pick up by cast. Will Illuminati take shield? I don't think so. I think shield doesn't really work against the Sandworm, considering it's the melee attack. So Sandworm, it will essentially just walk up to the fort, ignoring the shield value and just attack directly at the unit itself. Shield could be good if you want to have some sort of defense against the Phantom Rays. But Rays themselves are also very, very powerful, high DPS units that are very adept at bursting through shield. So with 900 supplies, this may not yield as much advantage as Illuminati will hope for. So instead, he just added 200 supplies worth of shield bubbles just to protect some fans. All right, these flanks continue to be super annoying, and I wonder why Cass never added an extra squad of crawlers, because with the extra squad of crawlers, he would be able to kill this rhino, and he will be able to break out with this level 2 fire badgers. Seems like a no-brainer, right? And it also forces Illuminati to level this rhino, which he may or may not want to do, considering it's just a temporary solution at the flank. All right, so we got a huge line of sandworms, and this is the type of comp that I was thinking about in my head when Phantom Ray was first introduced, right? This sort of high damage, low range type of comp. Look at this. All the sandworms is just punching through everything, and this is a super one-sided battle. We have a level 3 sandworm with nano that Illuminati simply has no answer to, and now with strike and mech rage, triple tech sandworms is just way too much for Illuminati to handle. And just like that, Cass is able to pull a rabbit out of the hat and deal critical damage with these triple tech sandworm. Is self-sustaining, right? They deal chaff clear with their strike, but also with their mech rage, and just kills things super quickly, and then with the support of these Phantom Rays. A fantastic game played by Cass. I know he's been cooking sandworms all week long, and if you're interested, definitely check him out. He's on Twitch, and he just has a lot of very innovative plays. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see another video, here's one for you, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics, Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress, the battlefield. fields alive with swarms.